Hi, and welcome to our next company presentation, now with Netel. And with me in the studio, I have CEO Ove Bergqvist to present the company. Myself, my name is Max Bacco, and I am an equity research analyst here at ABG. And with that said, Ove, please go ahead with the presentation.
Thank you, Mats. Netel works with infrastructure. We do maintenance, we do service, and we build infrastructure. We do telecom, fixed networks, we do mobile networks, we do power grids, we do water and sewage, we do central heating, and related civil engineering work. We have a long history of growth. We were started as a management buyout from Peab in 2010. The company itself was started as a small unit within Peab in the year 2000. So from 2010, we have an annual growth rate of 24%. All of it has been profitable. So the average growth rate of profit is 20% in the same period. We have an asset-light model, which means that we buy lots of services from subcontractors. We buy excavation locally, we buy installation where we can. So we have a high cash conversion. We had it historically, and we still have it. We have a clear view on how we will sustain growth. We had 45% growth in Q1, of which 16% was organic. We did we have done 4 acquisitions year to date. We are in infrastructure, and we've been in infrastructure in, 22 years now. As I said, we started within Peab, and then we did a management buyout. And we group infrastructure in 3 groups. One we called fixed, and that's the biggest one for us. That's fixed telecom, mostly fiber and cable TV in our case. We also put in what we call infrastructure services in here, and that's water and sewage, central heating, and related civil engineering work. We do power since 2018, and that's the power grid, the public power grid. So we do local networks, we do regional networks, we do cable, we do lines, we do stations. And then lastly, our first original segment was mobile. So we build base stations. We do the towers, we put radio in, we install radio, we do the cabling, we do the fiber, we do the power, and we switch it on. We started out in Sweden and Norway, where we are complete. We added Finland 2015, and then 2018 we added Germany. Germany is way behind in its fiber deployment. So if Sweden has 90% coverage, Germany has 20%. So we are building fiber in large volumes for Deutsche Telekom and E.ON, which is called EDIS in Germany. The next step should be UK, which we are working with now to start operations. We think, or we have strong trends in the back. Therefore, we are in good segments. There is high demand. There is good short-term demand, but there is definitely a long-term demand. There is electrification. We are in the power grid. The power grid is old. The power grid lacks capacity. We build a local network, we build regional networks, and we do station and we do lines. There's, of course, digitalization. We do mobile stations, which is 5G. We do fiber. We service fiber, we build fiber, especially in Germany these days, and we will do it in the UK. And then lots of these infrastructures are old. The power grid is very old. It needs to be much more reinvestments. Water and sewage networks are old, and central heating networks are very old. So the trends are strong. Q1, good growth. We had 45%, 16% organic growth. The backlog is strong. Historically, at a turnover of 2.5 billion SEK, Netel would have had a backlog of roughly 2 billion. It's 3 billion now, and the reason is that we have more service contracts, and they are quite big and they are long. And that's with Telenor, and that's with Telia, and that's with Global Connect. So the backlog is now 3.4 billion SEK, and that's the highest backlog we ever had in a Q1. If we look at profitability in Q1, we had 4.5% EBITDA, We had 4.5% last year. Q1 is our smallest quarter with the lowest margin. For example, in 2020, 2 years ago, we had 2.2%. So 4.5% the first quarter, we do work outside. It was cold this year, lots of frozen ground. That's a good quarter for us. Of course, there are risks, and we will talk about them with inflation and so on. But for the first quarter, in these circumstances, a very strong quarter profit-wise. If you look at organic growth, we have organic growth now in Norway, especially in Norway and Germany. Norway is driven by the fact that we last year won big service contracts with Telia. We do all of Telia's cable TV network. And we won a few areas of Telenor's service contract. And we won them last year, so we will have year-on-year effect this year. And that will give good organic growth on top of everything else. And then Germany. There is high demand for more fiber in Germany, very low penetration. There is a lack of suppliers. So we will have good growth this year and many more years in Germany. Sweden, 85% growth, but that's mostly acquired. I will get back to the acquisitions. So all the business areas good. Power good, good demands. Mobile very good because there's a 5G rollout now in all countries, so lack of resources. And we have, from numbers, we have compensated ourselves well for cost increases. Much of what we delivered today, we bought some time ago. We have also, we put tenders and bids continuously. So when prices are going up, our bids are going up, of course, and so on. But there are uncertainties ahead, of course. And one uncertainty that we might see, which we haven't seen so far, is that for our customers, for our network owners, it's also more expensive for them to build. So they might hesitate for some time to actually start projects. We haven't seen it yet, but that's definitely a risk. We do acquisitions. We work with acquisitions all the time. We do it proactive. So we have a number of companies we talk to proactively. We have done 4 this year so far. What we do is we try to take position in our markets. We try to be stronger, or we try to enter new markets or new segments. So we're going to stick to these segments. We're going to stick to these countries, but we're going to add UK. We only buy strong companies. Almost all of them are higher margins than Netel, and Netel has high margins. We want management to stay. We want them to develop the company. We want to develop Netel. Of course, we look for cost synergies like purchasing and so on, but the biggest synergy is on the revenue side because these are good markets, good trends. So together we can make more business. That's the theme with the acquisition. We have done these 4 this year so far. JR Markteknik och Täby Maskin is a company in Stockholm. They have frame agreements with Uppsala kommun, water and sewage. They have frame agreements with Vattenfall, water and sewage. It's a very strong company, very high margins. They will have a good year this year as well. Eltech is power. They are working up to 400 kilovolts. So this is our first company who is doing 400 kilovolts. So it's a good start for us. Elcenter in Söderköping. It's chargers, it's solar panels, and it's street lighting. Karlskoga Mark is also water and sewage. It's frame agreements with the municipality and local housing companies. All of them with good margins. And this picture says that we have for what we planned this year, we have enough cash, we have a good relationship with the bank, and we have enough means to actually do the acquisition we planned for this year. And then finally, the markets, the underlying markets are very strong. This is infrastructure. These are power grids. This is fiber infrastructure. This is telecom. This is water and sewage. So yes, it can go up and down, but the long-term trend is very strong, and the trend right now is very strong as well. We have been growing with 24% the last 12 years. We have been growing profit with 20% in the same period. We had a very strong Q1, good margins, same as last year, very high growth. And we continue to do acquisition. And we have done quite a lot of acquisitions in Sweden. Now extra focus is on Norway, Germany, and the UK, which we plan to enter this year. Thank you.
Thank you very much for a nice presentation. And now over to some Q&A. And I would like to start with your Q1 here, where, as you said, you report adjusted EBITDA margins of 4.5%, which was the same as the year before, despite the cost inflation we have seen, despite the high sick leave due to Omicron in the beginning of the year. And I've seen that some of your peers, on the other hand, saw quite significant margin pressure in the quarter. So if you could perhaps explain a bit more why you, Netel, managed to maintain your profitability level year over year.
No, I think we see some of that as well. But I think the underlying pressure for more volume to actually complete your projects, do more, is actually taking some of that off. So if this were a normal year, it might have been even higher.
Yeah.
And then we do projects, and we try to, when you win a project, you try to order all your material. So the gap in between is very small. For many construction projects, if the cost increase is big, you have the right to compensate yourself. Of course, you end up in a negotiation with your customer, but you can compensate some. And then there are indexes, especially in water and sewage and civil engineering. Each year there is an index adjustment. And that this year, I think, is 9% for people and 17 or something for machines. So everyone knows this. And also, not all customers, but some understands we need to compensate because otherwise nothing will be done. But then, as I said, the risk might be that, okay, this is expensive. We might wait to actually start the project.
Okay. And as you mentioned, the German market, where you see as a key market going ahead with in terms of growth. And as you also mentioned, the fiber penetration, if we look at homes passed, is around 20% or something like that. But have you seen now that the fiber rollout really have started gathering momentum? And
so, I would say. It's a lot. There's a big demand, but it's still quite inefficient, at least where we are. But then there are many network owners, and we know Deutsche Telekom and we know ABGSC, and they still want to do much more than they're capable of. So there's still, I think the peak is still pushing out further in time. If they said 2025 before, they might say 2027 now before sort of peak volumes.
And what is holding the German market back? Is it financing, or is it installers, or is it?
When you start a sort of infrastructure project where you're going to do lots of things in the ground and cover big areas, you need to have permits. You need to plan it. That takes a long time. And if you want to say, tomorrow we're going to build, okay, you can't actually. Because you need to go to landowners, you need to go to house owners, you need to go to the municipalities. So I think the whole planning phase is, because you want to build so much at the same time. So the challenge is quite massive to actually just start the project.
And also, you mentioned during the presentation, and I saw that this was something that you mentioned in the last report as well, that you aim to strengthen your position in Norway and Germany, but also you intend to enter the UK market. Could you elaborate a bit why you find the UK market attractive?
We went 2017, when we were on sort of peak volumes in Sweden on fiber, we did 900 million for one customer sort of. And then we said we need to do other things as well. And then we have diversified. Then we went around in Europe. So we went to UK, we went to Italy, we went to Germany, and we stayed in Germany. But they also had good contact in the UK. And they were far behind, and they're still far behind. I mean, you can pick other countries as well. But first we did Germany and then the UK, big countries, and not necessarily good. But I think in this case, I mean, you can talk to them. We have a good name. I mean, if Netel goes to another country and explains that we did most in Sweden, would you want to talk about projects? They say yes. I mean, it's a fact. Otherwise, we would never have done Deutsche Telekom. And then we ended up now we end up in UK. And that's partly because we have good contacts. We have people we worked with before who now are in the UK who will help us. We have people in our company who wants to go to the UK, which is also important when you pick a country, because you need your own people there as well. So many factors.
And UK as a market, is it similar to Sweden or Germany in terms of profitability and growth and competitiveness and so on, or is it?
I would think so.
Yeah.
I think when you look at these companies now, they're very profitable because the market is booming, lack of suppliers, customer wants to build a lot, they want to build fast. So I mean, it's a good ground for profitability. But what we do, we enter with fiber, but then we need to follow. Then it needs to be water and sewage, maybe telecoms, maybe central heating, because fiber is a good entry point.
Yeah.
But then the strategy is to broaden the scope as well, to become a complete Netel.
Yeah. And a common topic, at least for me, I mainly focus on the fiber area, but I guess it holds for all areas, that there's a lack of qualified installers, something that is often described as a bottleneck in the fiber rollout, for example. Do you agree with this statement?
Usually not, actually. No.
Okay, yeah.
No, usually not. I think what we see, we have a lack of skilled project managers.
Okay, yeah.
To really keep the project together, because it's quite easy. Each bit and pieces are quite easy, but there are many. Yeah. So a good project manager that can keep it in shape, know what to invoice, make sure the invoice is okay, and get the money in.
Okay.
I think that has been the biggest problem, always.
Yeah. Okay. And a few quick ones on acquisitions. You have done 4 so far this year. What is the average paid multiple if we look at EBITDA or something like that?
We are between 3.5 and 6, I think.
Okay.
6 is high.
Yeah.
But we have done most in Sweden.
Yeah.
So we are not. I think it's a little bit more expensive in Norway, actually. But it's very dependent on how much is actually rollout and how much is service. Service is more expensive than rollout.
Yeah.
How much is installation and how much is rollout.
Yeah.
So average is maybe 5.
Okay. Yeah. And the payment structure, do you work with earnouts or is it cash up front or?
Always earnout. Yeah. Always reinvestment in Netel. So we say, okay, we want to buy your company. We think it's great, but you have to like us as well, and you have to be part of building this. So like 25% of what we pay you, you invest in the group. Everyone is invested in. So some of the biggest owners are actually people. Okay. Yeah. And then there is an earnout of 2 to 3 years. Yeah. With actually, if you earn more on average in 2 to 3 years than you do now, then you get the same multiple on that. Okay. That you make above the average. Yeah.
And you said that you mainly find companies with margins above the group.
That's one of the very important criteria. So that's one of how we put the list together actually, because we promised 7% EBITDA, and that's high in our business. And then if you buy something at 10, at 5%, at a multiple of 5, that's good business. Yeah. If you can keep on delivering those numbers.
Yeah. And beside this margin criteria, what else financial metrics do you look at?
Sectors extremely important because we have to invest in sectors we think we believe, where we can see growth. So nothing outside of that. Management, they must stay, or we need to have a plan from day one, because we are very decentralized. We are 5 people on the group level. Okay. So we run them as we run our own units. Yeah. Very decentralized, very strong, and we try to find sort of revenue synergies in between. So profitable, right sector, management who wants to stay. Yeah. And what is the size on the acquired companies? Is it revenues of 100 million SEK or something? Between 30 and, what we look at now, up to 200. Okay. But rather more than one big has been so far. Yeah. It might look a little bit different when we go to Germany. Yeah. It depends. But about 200 is big for us. Yeah.
Okay. And finally, my last question, with your customer concentration, do you have one single big customer that is 10-15% of sales, or?
Yeah, I think Telia is like 15 maybe, but Telia Finland, Telia Norway, Telia Sweden, and then they have different parts of it. Yeah. So I don't think, if one Telia is getting upset, that Telias would bother actually. So historically we had one fiber customer in Sweden who had we had a big dependencies, but that's much smaller now. Yeah. But if you if you want to work in telecoms, there are just a few big customers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I think that was all the questions from me. Ove, thank you very much for the presentation and answering all of my questions, and good luck going ahead.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.